All eyes will be on the Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, who today presents the country's quarterly crime stats. These are important numbers. They reflect on crimes occurring during the third quarter of the current financial year. It covers crimes that occurred between October and December of 2024. In the previous quarterly crime stats between July and September of 2024, we saw a decrease in serious crimes by 5.1% overall, and this included murder, contact crime and rape. So we will be watching with great anticipation what movement those numbers are making. Let's talk about this and policing and enforcement issues with the CPF national spokesperson, Siyanda Biyela. Siyanda, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. And I think a nice place for us to start is just on the work of the CPFs themselves. You're meant to play this collaborative role with police and communities, and you are that connection between those two entities. But also you help police in the work that they do. So I'd love for you to just share the mandate and the kind of work that you have been engaged in countrywide. Yeah, I was just asking about it because I think it's important. You can give us a sense of, how many CPFs are there around the country? Are there just naturally one in every community? And what's the nature of that partnership with the law enforcement, with the police officers, but also that collaboration between yourselves, the community and police?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers at home. Hopefully you are having a safe Friday, and I wish you well for the weekend. The CPF is a community police forum, which is a structure that is responsible on mending the relationship between the community and the police, ensuring that the work that is done by the police and the service that is rendered by the police service is directed to the needs of the community. For instance, when we have the community having outcries about gangsterism, but the police focus will be on cash in transit, which is a contrary to what is happening in the community. So part of those crimes that we feel that are on the rise in the community must at all times through the CPF's Imbizo, CPF engagements, collect this information and direct the service from the South African police services. But in twin to that, it's not just being an oversight body on the service and directing the service, but the strategist a caliber of the CPF must also speak to roping in all relevant stakeholders in assistance to the service. For instance, ensuring that the crime prevention initiatives are done so that we minimize criminal activities in communities, from your sports against crime to your social dialogues and all other aspects of crime prevention initiatives we can do through developmental crime prevention, using all government departments to ensure that they work with the South African Police Service in sweeping the corrupt systems in our communities, even before the South African Police Service gets to act.
Siyanda, as you share with us the mandate of the CPF, what we realize and what's reinforced over and over is just how important communities are in crime prevention, in crime detection, and in helping the police prosecute or investigate crimes in their communities. And often they're left out, and which is why I'm interested in what you said, that when you have the CPF in Mbizos, there's information given. Nobody knows the community better than the people who live in those communities. They know it better than police oftentimes. They know where the criminals are. They know where who the syndicates are that might be operating oftentimes. How seriously does law enforcement or the SAPS take what the communities are saying through these CPF forums, and how has it influenced the way that they police those neighborhoods?
Obviously, the relationship will vary from national, province, districts, and stations. And most stations will get a good relationship between the station commanders and the CPF boards in districts and provinces. So it's an issue of instilling the understanding in the South African police services on the role of the CPF on its members. But more so, we've seen a positive light, especially in KZN, where the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Mkhwana, has been very positive in assisting the CPF and getting information from the CPF. Hence, you see a lot of successes from his side. Same thing in the Western Cape. General Patekile is also working closely with the CPF. Now we've seen a new brazen attitude in terms of the relationship nationally. The Divisional Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mamuteti, the Deputy National Commissioner responsible for policing, Lieutenant General Mosikili. We've seen quite a number of engagements with them, which now sought to make an understanding and clear the air on what is the role of the CPF and how can they use the CPF as a tool to engage the community and get what the community's needs are. But also the issue of the trust deficit is part of those center lines that we want to deal with in order for us to get a common ground, because there's a feeling that, and there's research which says the CPFs are much better to be consulted by the community more than the South African Police Services. The people better speak to the CPF than the SAPS, which is a worrisome issue which we need to deal with in terms of the bridging this relationship. But in the nutshell, we are, I believe, at a 90% platform in all provinces and stations in terms of the relationship. But now there's an issue of actioning because we are seeing positive results as we move along other provinces.
It's so interesting, Siyanda, as you're talking, because, we know that over the last couple of months, it seems like KwaZulu-Natal and Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi really captured the public imagination in terms of the way that they have made some breakthroughs. They've had some successes. Of course, there have been a lot of shootouts between police and suspects, a number of suspects as well going down during those interactions with police. And you've just said that part of that success, let's look at the successes that they've made now in terms of investigations and crime prosecution in KwaZulu-Natal. You're saying that part of that work is attributed to the work of the CPF. And I think it's an important one to reiterate. And you say it's not only the case in KwaZulu-Natal, it's also the case in the Western Cape.
Definitely. Part of this relationship, obviously, what we also do not want to have. You see, the reason why you're seeing CPFs now being targeted and assaulted and murdered in their homes or in action, like in Inanda, where you saw the CPFs being gunned down by a drive-by person whilst they were patrolling, it means they are effective. Seeing Dinginto from the Western Cape gunned down, coming from a patrolling in her house, and nothing has been done about it. So it shows you that the criminals' space has been squeezed to the level that information is flowing with the South African Police Services. Hence, I'm saying these successes come from these communities who give the CPF information, who the CPF sometimes assist in getting into the South African Police Services and talking to the relevant people. Because what we would not want to say and clap hands for is the death of anyone in the South African land. But at the center of this is an outcry for us, where you see a lot of guns in our communities, a lot of weapons in our communities, and unfortunately, we can't then say the South African Police Service members, when responding to the information, must also come with kit gloves, must also come with a prayer book or a Bible in such instances. So our call is that as the information comes on, they must ensure that they action it, but also protect themselves in the process.
Yeah, a very serious thing, Siyanda, but also I think what you're sharing with us is really, really important information to just again highlight and reinforce the important role that the CPFs play. And it's voluntary, right?
Yes, it is.
That makes it even more remarkable. I just want to close with your expectations of the stats today.
We want to see a serious decline, but also the decline must not be managed to the sense that it must paint a beautiful picture. What has happened over the years is that our people in the communities have lost hope into the South African Police Services in terms of them going to report these crimes. Hence, they resort to vigilantes, them to mob justice and all other. So as we deal with these issues, we want them to come and report cases as much as they can so that the picture is painted that if there's an issue that needs attention, it must be attended to. Not sit back and not report cases and we see a beautiful picture, but outside there, we see a different scenario altogether. So we want to urge our communities to join the CPFs. We want to urge our communities to still trust the South African Police Services. Use us as a platform, as the board, which deals with the service in the South African Police Service, and ensuring that they see justice and they see positive results in their communities.